Hey guys, Veebat here with another V Plays, and somebody brought up a really good point, and that's could someone go over all the medals and how to get them? And while I could show gameplay of me destroying ground targets and aircraft, how I got the medal as a result of that isn't going to be as transparent. So let's go ahead and go over the basics of epic achievements, because epic achievements, which you see right here, are going to be one of the ones I think people get hung up on. And then also the badges. For epic achievements, these are going to be the harder ones to achieve. You have to not die. If you die, all your progress has been reset on these particular medals. So whatever the stipulation is, that's what you need to do first. Now, something else you'll note here is that there are five medals here that have icons on them. Those aircraft are, or those particular medals or achievements are going to be class specific. So for the fighters, for the multi-role, and for the heavy, get and capture points. It doesn't matter how you do it. Killing ground targets, killing aircraft. You need to get 400 capture points without dying in order to get each one of these represented medals. Now, when it comes to the ground attacker and the bomber, it has to be against ground targets. So it doesn't matter if your ground attacker is like an IL-10M or a 329 where they're really good at shooting down other ground attackers. So you're like, oh, I got a ton of capture points. It's even listed in my progress when I hit the tab button. That doesn't actually count. It needs to be the ground targets, and you'll know you'll have gotten this medal when it appears. But you got to pay attention to your hit points, because if you die, you lose all progress. So let's go ahead and take a look at these other medals that we see besides just the class specific. The Mercyme Metal is going to require you to kill 17 air targets without dying. Again, relatively self-explanatory, but you can't die 17 kills. The Mccampbell Metal, on the other hand, is only going to be 10 kills, which sounds like it's easier. However, you need to kill one of every type of airframe. So you got to kill a bomber, a heavy fighter, a regular fighter, a multi-role, and a ground attacker. Usually I find that a heavy does this best, because a heavy has the firepower to be able to take out those bombers and ground attackers, but also has the ability to climb up to all of these different zones, and has the speed to be able to ensure its survivability. So usually Mccampbell, probably going to be in a heavy fighter. Now the Lang Metal, on the other hand, that's going to require killing ground targets, a total of 15 ground targets. This isn't just little pieces of ground targets, but the whole section has to be destroyed. This is usually achieved through an attack aircraft and a bomber aircraft. Theoretically, a multi-role could do it, but probably a little bit harder pressed to get that done. The Gabreski is a great argument for why I think you should keep a Starfire in your hangar if you've gotten that far. If you haven't, this might be a little bit more problematic. You have to get 3 Rocketeers in a single sortie in a single battle. That's going to be tricky. The Gabreski is not an easy medal to achieve, but nor is it impossible. It's just going to take some time, patience, and effort. The reason I like the 94D for this is that the 94D has the power and the missiles that I have a much higher potential and likelihood to kill a target with even one blow from those air-to-air rockets. The Gabreski Metal is arguably the hardest medal to achieve. The Gabreski Metal requires you to not only kill 10 aerial targets, but also 7 ground targets. That pretty much spells out that you're going to need a multi-role in order to complete the Gabreski Metal. I'm 99% sure I got at least one of these with an F2G, but I could easily see it being accomplished by some of the British multi-roles, since they have such a quick reload, and really good engine power and gun armament that usually people are getting some pretty good kill numbers in that. And oh, by the way, you're getting a lot of bombs and rockets, especially when you start getting up to tier 9, 10. 10, you get a ton of munitions. Now, the Kizuna of Metal requires you to get all the way to Squall Line, which isn't guaranteed every battle. Sometimes you'll be able to attrit out the enemy's points before you get to this stage, but you got to kill 5 enemy air targets without dying after Squall Line. And one of the problems here is that your allies are also shooting at the enemy aircraft, and when they kill one, it doesn't come back as another target for you to go after. A lot of times I end up getting this either when I'm doing a lot of brawling in the middle and there's still a lot of aircraft around at Squall Line to pick off, or a lot of times I find myself getting this in a heavy aircraft because I have the speed to be able to get across the battlefield and go find that bomber that thought that he could climb up really high into the air and avoid my rounds when he's that 5th and final kill that I need. So these are just some suggestions to hopefully help you along as you try and get all of these medals. Alright, now moving down the list, we'll start looking at badges. Now, fully admit, I grabbed this off of the forums page, took a little bit of searching, but eventually found it. I will put a link in the description, but this will tell you right from an administrator over at Wargaming exactly what you need to do. So I'm not going to go into the details, but really what you need to know is you think that you can achieve these in any type of aircraft just reading the description and the requirements for trying to unlock one of those specialty airframes. But what you need to realize is that these badges that you just kind of acquire without really thinking about it are class specific. Only certain classes of aircraft can get these badges that you see on the right hand side. And up at the top left, you'll note that there is here, I'll bring up my mouse, right here, bomber, right? So we go to the next slide, attack aircraft, right? So this one's for attack aircraft. You'll see similarities between the two. Both of these can get the same type of badges. They only slightly change the order here. But then as soon as we get to heavy fighters, now they don't have the same badges that they can get, right? Like Flying Paladin badge cannot be achieved by an attack aircraft, nor can Flying Revenge badge over here be acquired by a heavy fighter. It isn't on here. So look for it in this table and then you can see what you need to do. Suggest if you're going to be going down this path of trying to get one of these airframes, you just have this list up, like pull up this link and then just have it running so that way you can go and reference it, because each class of aircraft has something specific to it, and or not specific to that airframe, but like I can't go and try and get that revenge badge with the fighter, and I can't get the Flying Paladin with my bomber and ground attackers. So just bear that in mind. So all 5 classes are here. Go ahead, check it out. I just am showing you a clip of it. I really suggest that you check the link out because it's going to be so much easier to be able to figure out what you need to be doing. I'm glad I found it because I'm definitely going to be using it from here on out now that I've dug it up. These You've probably seen these before. These are kind of the easier to get medals. They're still achievements, but they're not epic achievements. These are going to be pretty straightforward, and I've kind of put in here something that might help you get each one of these. So we'll go through them. Ace, kill 20 of any kind of aircraft. Doesn't need to be on the enemy team. It can be air defense fighters. It can also be bomber flights. I tend to get aces when I'm flying in a heavy. And I just go and kill those bomber flights coming from a command center, one after another. Just 5 bombers in there, and they're essentially free kills for a heavy with some decent damage output. Winged Legend, you just got to kick butt. Again, killing bomber flights in a heavy, you can get quite a bit of points from this. In fact, I needed to get a Winged Legend yesterday, and the battle mode for Red Comet was just, it was attrition mode, I think. That mode just ends way too quickly when your team's doing well, and or when the enemy team's doing really well. So I went and attacked bomber flights with the T-152. Not advisable. I got chewed up, but it got me over the 14,000 mark for personal points in order to get Wing Legend. Thunderer, it's a lot like the Doolittle and Efimov Metal. However, you're going to get those 400 capture points for destroying ground targets, but it can be done over multiple sorties. So it's kind of like the booby prize, right? Of like, yeah, you might have died, but at least you'll get Thunderer. You're not going to get the class-specific epic medals, or epic achievements rather. And then Conqueror, similar type of thing, but for capture points through any means. And you can die, and it won't hurt the progress. Guardian seems really straightforward. 250 capture points through defending. But there's no progress if the zone that you're defending, which has to be in your control, is already filled to the max. If it's already filled to the max, you're not getting any capture points because there's no capture points to gain back. You have to almost let the enemy capture part of your zone in order to retaliate. I've done this in two ways. One way that's been fairly consistent for me is if you hop in a Spitfire and you go to a central airfield at tier 5 and 6, usually you'll get a map that has kind of only a couple of zones and a centrally located zone, and you just sit there and spin and kill all day. And you need to do this in a tier 4 and above, so that's going to be a good option. Or I've done it in a Phantom, which is tier 4 fighter, and then heavies actually do pretty well at this as well. They can kill things really quick and they can get across the map very quickly, which means you can get to a contested zone fairly rapidly. And I take out bombers that are attacking a zone because usually a bomber isolated on the other side of the map is attacking a zone. They've gotten some capture points. You kill the bomber in the zone and you recover those capture points. Same thing for going after ground attackers. And again, heavies are really good at being able to do that down to low altitude, up to high altitude. So that's another way to do it, but you'd have to fly heavy fighters and not everybody does that. So Spitfire is going to be a safe bet, or you could theoretically do it in a 0 or any of the keys, but they're just going to be a little bit thinner skinned. Spitfire, I've had more consistent results. Predator is like a booby prize, just like the Thunder and Conqueror, right? It's hey, sorry you didn't kill those 10 targets you shot at. Looks like somebody's been stealing your kills. So it's getting 10 assists. Predator, if you're hunting for a predator for whatever reason, if that's ever a requirement, just don't finish any targets and fly in a flight with somebody who can fly on your wing and let them get the kill. Like, get that guy down to low health and be like, he's yours, and you just finger off the trigger. It's going to take some discipline because you always want to finish the kill. Like, who wants to just get a target almost dead and be like, no, I'm good. I don't need to finish this. I'm fine. You can go ahead and take it. But that's the Predator. Anyways, I'm not going to go into all the little, like, series achievement medals. There's one we didn't throw on here, Rocketeer. You guys should know what Rocketeer is. It's killing an aircraft with a rocket. So usually air-to-air rockets are going to be your best bet, but you can also get Rocketeer through killing people with air-to-ground rockets if you're really good at it. And I'm actually going to link a video to Aviation. I hope I'm saying that correctly, buddy, but he is a friend of Postal's, and he has a fledgling YouTube channel right now, but man, he has a really good rocket montage, and you guys can take a look at what he does to be able to get those kills if you don't have an air-to-air rocket platform in order to get that Rocketeer requirement. I don't suggest trying to get the Golubev this way. This is more happenstantial, and probably every so many battles he was able to get these Rocketeer kills. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope this helps you on your grind, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.
I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over. I'm just like a soldier. I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over.